What's good everyone, my name is Abdi. This is kind of a best of list, you could say, because I will talk about some of the best Prada fragrances that I know. So the first one on the list is Prada L'Homme, the notorious Prada L'Homme. Everyone knows Prada L'Homme, one of the iris kings, you could say, of designer fragrances. There are a few ones, another one of them being Dior Homme. Powdery iris with violet, woody notes, spicy notes. We have neroli in the top, mixed with carrot seed, cardamom and black pepper, making this kind of a bit spicy. We have the typical mix of violet and iris with geranium, and then mate, which is also an interesting note. It's an herbal note. And finally, in the base, we have amber, cedarwood, sandalwood, and patchouli. Pretty common way of handling iris. It's classy and elegant, but also professional. So not over the top in no way. Very easy to wear, very easy to like. What I usually say is this is the Italian way of Dior Homme, because Italians love to make fragrances very floral, be it for men or for women. And Prada L'Homme handles it perfectly in the way that if you want an iris fragrance like Dior Homme, but you want it to be office safe, you go with Prada L'Homme. They have a water splash version that I also own. It's not on the list. That's why I didn't include it over here, but they also have a very commonly known flanker of this one, which is this one. And it's literally just called Prada L'Homme L'Eau, and L'Eau meaning water. It's actually lighter. It's not fresher because it's not like it all of a sudden has like citrusy notes, heavy citruses and very fresh notes. Like for example, we had in the Dior Homme line, where the fresher it got, the citrusier and the ginger heavier it was. Different in this one, the ginger is very light, so it's hard to detect in here in my personal opinion, and that's because the powdery note in which you know from this one is so prominent in here. So what we have with the low version is neroli and ginger in the top, iris and amber in the heart, and then finally powdery notes, sandalwood and cedarwood in the base. So the notes are pretty similar to this one. This one lacks the pepper and the cardamom, so it's not as spicy as this one. Just took out the spicy notes and then added a little bit of ginger, and what you have is 80% similarity with the missing spiciness and added ginger. And then finally in this same line we have Prada L'Homme Intense, and the Intense version yet again, and this is what they do so beautifully in my opinion, smells like this but darker. It's a little leathery, it's earthy, woody, ambery. So the amber is amped up, the woods are amped up, the iris is toned down. So what you have with this is iris in the top, and then amber and patchouli in the heart, and finally tonka bean, sandalwood and leather in the base. And there you have it. This is the line, literally. Tonka bean and leather in here, then you have the regular one with the black pepper and the cardamom in the top, and then you have the low version, the ginger in the top instead of the spicy notes. So pretty cool line of fragrances. The best one smell-wise in my personal opinion is the Intense version. I think it's also the one that's hardest to like. It's not non-mass appealing or hard to like, it's hardest to like because these are very easy on the nose and very easy to like, mass appealing and pretty inoffensive. So you can spray this on and probably even get away with being the guy that smells of fresh laundry, which is never a bad thing. This one naturally has the least power. It is strong. It does have longevity. On my skin, it lasts around 6 to 7 hours. Same for this, probably about 6 to 7, maybe 8 hours. And they project pretty well. But this one lasts a very long time. It lasts around 10 hours. And it also projects. Although it's an intense fragrance, it's the typical, the fresher, the better it projects. Not in this case. This is a projecting monster. This is almost in the realm of Dior Sauvage Elixir, for example. Price-wise, they are somewhere in the middle ground. Designers, this was a long time hard to find, but I think it's back in stock. The last time I checked, same thing for this. This will be around for a very long time probably because it's one of their cash cow fragrances. And yeah, that was the Prada L'Homme line. And next up we have another fragrance, which is actually in the same realm as this, which is not hard for Prada to do because Prada loves to make these type of fragrances, mainly being Italian luxuriously smelling, floral smelling fragrances. And the same thing they've done with these fragrances. Prada Amber Pro Homme line, definitely top 5 of amber fragrances ever created. I don't know if they will be back. Same with the Intense version. It was said to be discontinued, but then it popped back up again all of a sudden. Prada Amber Pro Homme is actually an Oriental Fougère fragrance. Released back in 2006, this is rather old. This is not a typical Oriental, so if you hear Oriental or Floriental or Oriental Fougère, for example, you will think about something along the lines of an Amouage fragrance, for example. But this is not what you have here, with notes like saffron and again cardamom and neroli. Man, Prada does love their neroli, don't they? This time we do actually have fresh notes in here, like mandarin orange. Then in the middle we have myrrh and musk, geranium, vetiver and orange blossom. And in the base finally we have a lot of different notes. We have tonka bean, we have cardamom, we have saffron, we have vanilla, sandalwood and patchouli. So a lot of things going on in here. Soapy and clean smelling. Literally the epitome of Italian designer fragrances. This is what I would imagine a Prada fragrance to smell like. Just go light on the sprays because this is a very strong and very projecting fragrance. You can choke out people with this actually. That's what I love about it. It's gorgeous. 5 years pass and the younger brother of this one is born. And Prada Amber Pro Homme Intense, for some people, is actually the perfected version of this one. It is spicier, it's ambery, it's a bit more woody, and it's actually even balsamic because it toned down the heavy floral notes, which makes this so soapy and clean. Added more of the patchouli, ambery, warm spiciness. And I think this makes overall for the better concoction than this. What this one lacks with the notes is cardamom and neroli. And neroli is this very light and white floral note. Adds to the heavy soapiness in this one. And it's actually a very common thing used in soapy fragrances, like in the original cologne or cologne type fragrances. They usually do have some type of white floral note like neroli or orange blossom. So there is orange blossom in here, so it still is soapy. It is a bit fresh. It does have these trails of freshness that heavily reminds you of this one, especially in the dry down. But overall it's way spicier, heavier, darker, and a little creamier. It's very gorgeous mix of fragrance. This one is my personal favorite Prada fragrance at the moment. This is very long lasting, but it's close to the skin after a few hours. This lasts and lasts and then it fades somewhere around the 7 to 8 hour mark. This one, same, around 7 to 8 hours, 9, 10 hours, 11 hours pass by. You can still smell this, you can still detect it, but it's very close to the skin. Both good performers, both gorgeous fragrances. I wish they were still easy to find and around. I find this one frequently pop up, unlike this one. This is very hard to find and it's getting more and more expensive. And this one is actually probably my #1 favorite Prada fragrance on the market. That was on the market, it's not on the market anymore, sadly. Together with one more fragrance, this one, this is Prada Luna Rossa Black, is actually in the same ballpark as this one. Just that this one is an Oriental Fougère, just like the normal Prada Amber, but this one is an Oriental woody fragrance. They are both spicy, they have muskiness going on. This is actually a musky fragrance, it's not a musky fragrance. And then they have this light spiciness, this light sweetness. All of it is light and then always mixed with some type of floral thing going on, which is what I love so much about Prada fragrances. I think they have this very elegant way of handling fragrance. Bergamot on the top. Then we have angelica and patchouli. Finally, we have this sweet-ish base of cumarin, amber, and musk. Has a little bit of everything, right? And that's what I love about this fragrance. This type of fragrance, it almost reminds me of Royal Oud of Crete, for example, which is also musky and woody. And if they add this little tone of sweetness with like sandalwood or cedarwood, that's where I come into play. This is my habitat of fragrances. I love that type of fragrance, and this is exactly what this is. And this is actually also close to that type of fragrance. And that's what I personally love about Prada fragrances. It's an EDP fragrance, it's long lasting, does project very well. It's not too out there, it's not too subtle. So it's very in the middle when it comes to basically everything. Be it the smell, the projection, the longevity. It's literally almost perfect for a design fragrance. And I know that this is universally liked by a lot of people, and that's because it's so easy to like, but smells different than your usual citrusy, fresh fragrance or your typical blue fragrance. Very easy to like, but also very different. If I had to choose, this one would probably be number 2. This would be my number 1. And I actually used to not like this fragrance, but over time I rechecked it and slowly fell in love with this fragrance. And that's usually the case with fragrances that I don't love in the beginning, or actually even don't dislike in the beginning. And then over time I start to like them. Luna Rossa Sport is a gorgeous one. I love that fragrance. I don't own it. Same for Luna Rossa, the normal one. Carbon is beautiful. Luna Rossa Ocean is beautiful because it's such a nice derivative of something like Bleu de Chanel. It's in that same vein. People say Luna Rossa Carbon is actually the smoother Sauvage, and I almost agree with that. I just never happened to test it on my own skin. Prada Luna Rossa is a very gorgeous line of fragrances, and I probably will talk about the line when I have a few more of them in my collection, or I gave them a few more shots at smelling them myself. 2 more fragrances that I want to talk about is, for one, Infusion d'Iris, I think it's called. If I'm pronouncing it correctly, I'll ask my cousin. He lives in France. He teaches me about pronunciation in French actually. But that one's for another video, just like the last one on this list, which is in the private blend collection of Prada, which is Cargo de Nuit, which I definitely want to talk about and definitely will talk about in the future, because I still need to get my hands on that fragrance. Problem is, it's a very expensive fragrance. It's a gorgeous fragrance. I've smelled it once and I definitely need to talk about it because it's right up my alley actually. It's a very woody and musky fragrance, floral and aromatic hints in there. And then Infusion d'Iris is actually, yet again, very woody, powdery, ambery fragrance with a little citrusy things going on in there. Prada Fragrances, 90% floral, woody fragrances, very masculine but still floral, which is this very typical classy way of handling fragrances in Italy. And that's what I love about Italian perfumery. And we need to talk more about Italian fragrances in the game. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing. Subscribe to my channel actually. I never say this in my videos, but I will in the future. Subscribe to my channel if you enjoy this. And I hope to see you in the next one. Peace out and bye bye.